Alright, George, we're gonna talk about you and being vegan. Do you know what globalization is?
Globalization, like the spreading of something across the world.
Well, yeah, basically like culture all around the world.
Yeah, yeah.
So how do you think veganism is impacted globally?
Well, vegan is much higher of like the proportion of the population in higher income countries.
Yeah,
Although low income countries, they're vegan by default because animal products are very expensive due to the high amounts of water and other feeds for these animals. So a lot of countries in like southern Africa, they don't eat much meat because of their low incomes generally. So yeah, there are a fair amount of people that don't consume very much animal products in these poorer countries.
so you relate income and like third world countries to being vegan because they don't have the opportunity to eat meat.
I wouldn't consider them vegan. It's just that they don't eat animal products due to the expense.
Okay. So that's globalization, the whole world. Localization is like local community. So how does veganism focus in your local community and like your peers, your friends, people around you?
Veganism is very spread out. Like in Washington, you're going to meet more vegans than you are in Wyoming. So, because political values also tend to follow veganism. Generally, vegans lean more liberal. So, and Washington has a higher amount of liberals. So, that raises the population of vegans. But yeah, because we don't follow like a religious system, because that's not what veganism is, we don't really run into vegans that often. Like I personally don't see vegans for months on end. So it doesn't really have an impact socially for me.
Okay, so culture. You said you're 19 or
18?
18. So 16 years of your life you were non-vegan,
Yep.
and 2 years you were vegan. So how did culture before impact you, and like culture now? How has it changed? What happened in culture?
I'd say generally my views have been impacted by veganism, not only in eliminating animal products, but how I view empathy, relations towards others, because I can see what these animals are having to endure. So I feel that I've grown a lot kinder towards others by being vegan. Also, I feel that my political views have also shifted. Although not as much as most vegans, I lean far more to the right than the standardized vegan would. Yep.
So basically, 16 years, you were forming this identity. Then, in between 16 and then becoming vegan, veganism became your new culture, and it formed you into who you are today.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say veganism, it's done small tweaks to the way I think. Like, I show a lot more empathy towards other issues like world hunger and that. Before I didn't really care, but now I think vegan was just kind of a stepping stone towards empathy. Like, how are you supposed to love other humans when the mistreatment of animals just continues and nobody really does anything about it?
Alright, one last question. I understand how the culture impacts you. How about socialization, the people, peers around you? Are you trying to make them vegan? What are you trying to do?
Yeah, socialization is kind of difficult because when you're vegan, you're an extreme minority. Almost everyone that you run into isn't going to be a vegan, so it's kind of difficult because I take it to heart because it's an issue that I truly care about. Like the suffering and death of animals, once you see all the videos and the evidence of the mistreatment of these animals, and especially if you're like me who's visited slaughterhouses in real life, It's difficult to view non-vegans as good people, but I try to if they haven't been explained about the mistreatment of animals. Like, I still think you can eat meat and be a good person if you don't know what happens. But if someone's truly explained what goes on in these factory farms and animal agriculture, I have serious questions about others' moral value, like what they think is good or not, if they don't turn vegan, because it's a huge issue and the mistreatment causes serious harm to these animals.
I have one more question actually. So you talk about animal abuse and not eating animals. Why'd you go another step instead of becoming vegetarian? You actually became vegan. Why'd you do that?
I'd consider the dairy industry to be far worse than the meat industry. In order to have dairy, the female mother cows have to be raped to impregnate, and obviously the dairy is designed to feed the young calf, so the calves are taken away from the mother at birth. It's a very sad thing. If you ever see it on video, the mother cow is actually doing this very strange crying, very loud crying, and it's just heartbreaking to watch. So vegetarian won't eliminate animal suffering. It's not even logical. Think about where would we have all these dairy cows and not cause animal suffering. Like, it's just not possible.
So then would you be fine with being pescatarian and not eating dairy? Or like a person like that?
No, I wouldn't, because the eggs are also an issue. The entire issue around veganism is trying to reduce all suffering and harm to the lowest possible extent. So suffering is suffering if it happens to a sentient being. So we need to eliminate anything regardless of what animal it is, because they all have the ability to feel pain and they all have the ability to think and reason just like humans.
Any last words?
That's it.
Okay, thank you for
Thank you.
How long was it?